Good evening and welcome to the Vernon Township Supervisors meeting for March 5th, 2020. We'll start off with prayer. Supervisor Romero, lead us in prayer.
May we all use prudent judgment in our decision-making and exercise our duties justly for the benefit of the greater good.
Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Lori.
Snyder.
Here.
Maloney.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Okay, this time, citizen comment. No citizen comment this evening, so have a motion to approve the minutes for the February 6, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Second motion in a second. All in favor? Motion to direct the treasurer to issue checks for the approved vouchers due for payment.
So moved.
Second. Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? Motion to ratify payroll for the employees for the approved, payroll for the employees from February 2nd, 2020 through February 29th, 2020, and the supervisor's pay.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? Thank you. We're going to go back to citizen comment. I think someone just came in.
I apologize, GPS tends to bring me the back route when I'm coming from another.
You can come up here.
Thank you very much.
No
Right
problem.
here?
Yes. You.
Okay. I'd like to talk to all of you a little bit about the census, the upcoming 2020 census.
And you're Nancy?
I'm Nancy Augustine from the U.S. Census Bureau. I'm a partnership specialist. I work out of the Philadelphia regional office, but that means I'm working out of my home in Erie County. I have Erie County, Crawford County, and Ashtabula County, Ohio.
Wow.
So I drive a lot, but I do get lost, I apologize. But thank you for allowing me to speak. When Thomas Jefferson did the first census in 1790, it was just 6 questions. This year, it's only 10. So it's not one of those long forms, and I don't know if any of you remember, they were actually long forms, long pieces of paper. So 10 questions, very easy. The forefathers wrote in the Constitution, in Article 1, Section 2, that there had to be a decennial census every 10 years. The reason they did that is they knew our country was growing, and that's the only way to ensure fair representation. In the last couple of censuses, we have lost about 3 representatives in this area. And in the upcoming census, we could potentially lose another. So what's that mean to us? It means our voice just got really quiet where we want it to be absolutely the loudest, where we want them fighting for what our communities need and the funding they deserve. So that's the first thing the census is important for. The second thing is the funding. $675 billion each and every year is distributed to the states according to the most recent census numbers. So what does that mean? Well, I have to stress that this is not a census piece of data, but the George Washington University did an independent study to try to figure out about what does that mean per person, per state. And it varies by a couple $100, but it's basically about $2,000 per person, per year, times 10 years. So when your community misses one person, you potentially lost $20,000. And we're not talking specifically, but It's for programs that cover things from the cradle to the grave. It's Head Start, it's SNAP, it's WIC, it's Medicare, it's your transportation improvements, it's those state and federal grants you depend on. And one of the first things they ask on every one of those grants, because I come from your side of the table, is what was your most recent census population? And you don't get a chance to change that for another 10 years. This year, it's easier. And for the first time ever, we're using technology. It's safe, it's confidential, but beginning on March 12th, so we're just around the corner, you will start to receive invitations to respond. Now, I have to stress that these come to physical mailing addresses. The census is not sent to people, it's sent to dwelling places. So if someone has a P.O. box, they won't receive these reminders because we don't send anything to a P.O. box. And a lot of people in rural communities are a little concerned about that, and should be. But beginning from March 12th to March 20th, anyone with a physical street address will get the invitation to respond. It does have an identifier number on it, and at that point, both the website and the phone lines will become live. And they can go online and respond right away. They don't have to wait till April 1st, the technical census day. Quickly, reminders will follow. And if by the beginning of April you have not responded online or by phone, or, well, let me go with this first. If you haven't responded, you got all those mailers and you didn't respond, a paper copy will be sent to you, and you'll have the opportunity to complete the paper copy. One final reminder will be sent. If you don't do that, you get the dreaded on the door that nobody wants, especially in this day and age. So, people who have P.O. boxes, they won't receive these reminders, but they will be part of our non-response follow-up, which actually means that come the beginning of April, those are the first people that get paper copies hand-delivered to their addresses. We know their homes are there. They just don't have the physical street address that they receive mail at. So someone will deliver a paper copy, and then if they don't use that, someone will follow up. We don't want to go to anybody's door. That costs you and me $38 every time somebody knocks on that door, and we will go up to 6 times to try to get even one household. That's a lot of money to spend, but it means a lot of money to you folks, and it means quality of life. So we're working with school superintendents, municipalities, everywhere we can, to have folks use their trusted voices. They don't want to hear from Nancy from the federal government. They want to hear from their neighbors, the folks they belong to organizations and churches with. And by using your trusted voices, you can reach folks and get them to use their voice to reach somebody else. There are a lot of populations that we consider hard to count. Ironically, one of those is children under the age of 5. In the 2010 census, more than 5% of children under the age of 5 were missed. It was over 1 million children. I'm meeting with superintendents who say it's hitting home to them because they can't estimate their kindergarten classes accurately, plan for their resources. When you're dealing with teachers, there are ratios involved. So it is critical to their funding. It affects Title I funding, their lunch programs, everything. And we don't know really what happened, but it's this day and age. It's blended families. It's grandparents raising grandkids, and maybe when the census comes, They thought, well, this isn't my child, it's my grandchild, so maybe I don't count them. An infant will be 10 years old by the time they get a chance to be counted again and receive their municipality or state receive the funding they need for school. Elderly tend to be apprehensive, and so we're stressing the confidentiality, and maybe they don't like the idea of computer, and that's fine. They can pick up the phone and call. We're going to operate mobile questionnaire assistance centers in areas where the response is falling way behind what we think it will be. That will begin about mid-April, and we'll work with municipalities, and our really good partners are libraries, which are opening their doors to encourage folks to come in, use their public computers, and respond. So basically, what I want to just ask from you is that you do everything you can to promote it within your municipalities. When I say I come from your side of the podium, I spent 23 years in local government. I was the Director of Land Development, Zoning, and Public Relations for Summit Township in Erie County, and the last 6 years I was a township supervisor. So I truly appreciate the work that you do, and just want you to know that when I was in my government position, I had an inkling how important the census would be, and we only have one elementary school, public elementary school in Summit, but it has 400 or 500 kids. We found money somewhere or wrote a grant, and we bought bright yellow t-shirts with big black letters that said, "I count." We invited the newspaper. They took a picture of those 400 kids. They all went home like that. And our response was about 4 or 5% higher than our surrounding municipalities. It makes a difference, the work that you do to get a complete and accurate count. Our goal is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. I can provide the municipality with a copy of the actual form, what it's going to look like. We have handouts that say why we ask each individual question. We have logos and PR items that you can use on your website or even on township bills. I don't know if you have utility bills or any tax bills going out that just say, you know, pay my taxes, and then have a box, complete my census. So just whatever you can do, and I'm here to help any way I can. I will provide you with the information, but with such a big area to cover, I just try to get the message across and send you guys going kind of like the cheerleader. So I like to say I drive, talk, drive, and sometimes get lost, so I apologize. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Anyone have any questions?
I have just one.
Yes.
I know in this area, we have a lot of problems with people coming home to home and scamming. How do we know when we see a census worker?
That's a very good question. Thanks for asking that. It's an act of God to get one of these badges. As much as they needed me on board, it took probably 6 weeks. They do a complete background check. They talk to my neighbors. It was very involved. Every census worker will have a badge that identifies them. When they go door to door, they actually have a bag, a canvas bag with the logo on it, and whatever handheld device that they're using, whether it be an iPad or a cell phone, has the seal on it for the Department of Commerce Bureau of Census. So they are very easily identifiable. We will never ask anybody to step out of their home, and so they could stay inside and answer the questions from there. We will never ask any personally financial information, social security numbers. Basically, the questions this time around are your age, your birth date, what type of home is this? Do you own or are you renting? And then it goes on for each individual person and asks their name and their age and their race or ethnic origin and how they're related to the person filling out the form. But we want to just stress that if someone is kind enough to be giving a homeless person a couch to stay on, count them. If they are living there and do not have another primary residence when you're filling out your census, count them. We have school teachers that want that funding so bad that one of my superintendents said she's going to find out who's pregnant around April and tell them, if the baby's due, don't fill out your census till that baby comes. Because while we don't advertise it, we want everybody to fill it out as soon as possible. We will be taking responses from March 12th when it goes live through July 25th. And after that, it moves on and no chance to change that count, no matter how bad you know it is. There is not a process. Before I started working, even training, I had to take the same oath that the President of the United States takes. And for the rest of my life, should I divulge even someone's name and address, which is personally identifying information, I face a $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison. Well, they're only employing me for 18 months, so I'm not going to be doing any of that. And personally, I try not to see anything like that, but we take it very seriously. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else?
If you think of something after I'm gone, I'm going to leave my cards and some information. The one thing I also want to stress is we need applicants. Everyone here, I'm sure, knows how hard it is to hire someone good, and when you need 500,000 people, you need 2.7 million applicants. But they're doing it by county because we want people that are familiar to their neighbors and to the area so that there's a better chance that they'll answer that knock on the door. If we don't get folks from your area, obviously we'd have to send them in from elsewhere and the count can go down.
I have one question.
Yes.
When your folks are out and they're going to be going door to door in our area, will they let our secretary or someone know they're here?
They will not. This is such a moving operation. It's like an army. And depending on whether you have local folks or if it's waiting because we're bringing people in from elsewhere, which I hope doesn't happen, we can't say exactly. But what I would just get out to anybody that you know is that they will be easily identifiable. And if you have any concern, call your local authority. That's the best thing to do. We have a number you can call to verify someone, and we have a website you can go to if you think that someone is not is portraying themselves inaccurately. But best, we just tell people, if you're fearful, do what you would normally do. Call your local authorities. If you don't see that badge and that bag and that handheld, and they probably aren't legit. Thanks so much. I appreciate if I took up too much of your time. I know I always wanted to get done as quick as possible.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. So we ratified the
Correspondence.
payroll.
Or correspondence.
Run to correspondence. Any correspondence?
Just a letter from the auditors. We, the undersigned auditors of Vernon Township, have completed our annual audit of the books and records of Vernon Township. We found the records to be in good order. Our audit found no major problems. We have reviewed with the secretary some areas that required additional explanation, and it's signed Greg and Beverly Latta.
Very good. Thank them for that great report, and doing such a good job on the audit. They saved us a pile of money.
Yes.
So, next we have the police report. Chief Detzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm going to talk about the Vernon Township Police Department and the calls that we handled in the month of February 2020. We had a total of 148 calls for service, bringing our yearly total up to 300 calls. We had 10 motor vehicle accidents. 7 citizens were locked out of their vehicles that we assisted. We had 9 traffic stops for various infractions and violations. We issued 4 citations and gave 5 warnings out. We had 1 non-traffic citation issued on another matter. We assisted citizens on non-traffic issues on 1 occasion, and we had 9 court hearings for the month of February at the District Court on Route 19, District Judge Lincoln Zillhaber's office. Of those hearings, 8 were for criminal offenses, 1 was for a traffic offense. Traveled a total of 2,411 miles in the month of February on patrol. And I have just a couple of things to mention for the month. One of them is, we're having a lot of issues with the scams. There's a lot of scams going on. I had another resident in today, and he was contacted by who he believed to be Microsoft. Please, folks, do not give out any pertinent information to these folks, because if you get your money taken, there's no way we're going to get it back. Most of them are out of the country, and be very, very cautious. IRS, any of these places, Social Security, they're going to give you a formal letterhead with their heading on it, and that's the ones that you answer, not these people on the telephone. So if somebody calls you and tells you it's imperative you do something, don't do it, and please call us anytime. We're only too happy to listen, look at whatever phone numbers you have and make a call. I know I had one today. I tried to call and I couldn't even understand the person on the other end of the phone, I'll be honest. So it's a shame, but they're out there and it's going on. And the only other thing I have is that it was a good month as far as the accidents. We're down, and that's a good thing. So that's my report for tonight.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any
Thank you.
questions for the chief?
Still doing okay with the school buses and crossing
Everything
the cars?
seems fine.
Good, good, down here.
Yep.
Think people are getting used to the roundabout?
I do.
Actually,
I really think they are.
I actually spoke with someone yesterday that likes it.
No, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. You don't have to stop.
No.
Some don't realize if you're on the roundabout, they're not allowed to come in and cut you off. Some people haven't figured that out yet.
Well, that's why we have motor vehicle accidents. It does happen.
The main complaint I'm hearing is that people are stopping when they don't have to.
Yes, that's true.
And I've actually, seen that myself.
I've been
but-
stuck there for a while on the 98 side. They'll just stop. Nobody in the circle, and they're just sitting there and
Yep.
piling behind them. It's already, that's the more difficult. The 1998 side of it is the more difficult way to get through versus the 322 side. So it happens. People learn.
Oh, yes. They will, in time.
It's a learning curve, for sure.
No, it is.
And next, our road report, and Ludwig Zarembrinsky, Roadmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Supervisors. Month of February, we plowed and salted roads 13 days. We spread anti-skid on gravel roads 4 different days. 2 freezing rainstorms, one on the 5th and one on the 6th. Checked some roads after rainstorm on the 18th. We had some clogged pipes. When the weather permitted, we have been patching potholes. We repaired some soft spots and deep plow scuffs with number 3 rock, along with some millings and some gravel on the gravel roads. With these rains we're having and then freezing and the roads aren't getting frozen solid, it's hard to plow the gravel roads without digging in. Cut some low-hanging tree limbs on South Watson Run, Cotton Road, and West Vernon Roads. Replaced the red light bulb at the Walmart eastbound traffic light with the bucket truck. Chuck Larson reset the timing at the McDonald traffic light and replaced the pedestrian crossing push button at the Giant Eagle traffic light. And had to replace a couple heat light bulbs in the Mead Avenue and the Giant Eagle traffic light controllers for the winter months. Under equipment maintenance, truck 1, a new power steering hose. Truck 3 cleaned the EGR valve due to a lot of carbon buildup. Truck 5 repaired the plow chain bolts, rear wiring, replaced 2 broken leaf springs. John Deere mower repaired hydraulic hose leak, and on the John Deere 410 backhoe we greased it. And cleanup day is coming up May 9th from 7 to 3 p.m. So that's all I have, sir.
All right. Any questions for Ludwig? Thank you. Admin zoning report, Robert Horvath, manager.
Good evening, everyone. February has been a productive month at the township. I think Punxsutawney Phil may have been right this year with a little earlier spring, and I know winter's not over yet, but I want to thank the road department for the great job they've done so far. There were no new zoning permits issued. However, we have continued to work with developers and contractors and anticipate another good year of construction in the township. Also, we've started to receive sign permit requests from businesses for new signage that we are unable to accommodate due to our current regulations. Because of this, I've been evaluating our current regulations and will be looking at updating our signage regulations. I will work with the township engineer on this, and once we have some options, we'll bring it to you at a future work session. On the administrative side, we've been getting ready for our summer road projects. Get ready to open up the checkbook at the April meeting. We're currently working on bidding projects for paving Brooks, Cutter, Culver, as well as options for Baco, Carmen, Cree, Dean, and Peninsula. Seal coating on North Watson and Faust, along with options for other roads, as well as lining several large stormwater cross pipes. These numbers will be ready at the April meeting. Also, we've begun to look at projects at the building. I'm hopeful at next month's meeting we'll have a new sound system installed in the meeting room. We're also evaluating some options for new flooring in some of the township's offices. Overall, it's been a busy month with lots of planning to make the rest of the year successful. Finally, this month I attended the Economic Progress Alliance's Board of Corporators meeting, as well as an educational presentation on the use of high reclaimed asphalt pavement, or RAP. This pavement involves the use of millings along with virgin stone for the making of asphalt. Currently, our liquid fuels program, we're allowed to use up to 15% RAP, but they're working on getting approval for up to 50%. If this occurs, we could see some lower asphalt prices, which is always a good thing. And that's my report for tonight.
Any questions for Ron?
Is there any difference in longevity between the two percentages with
From what they've shown, currently there's not, and that's why they're working on getting the 50%. They've done some pavement in places, they put it down towards Pittsburgh, and they're studying that now to see how it wears compared to the other stuff. And
Right.
as long as it shows that it's consistent, then we'll be able to use it with our liquid fuels money.
Have you heard anything on the lettering for the roundabout?
You know, I have not. I'll reach out and see where that's at.
Mild winter.
I think they're all laid off, that was that company.
Ohio.
Any other questions for Ron? Brings us up to the engineer's report. Ashley Porter, engineer.
Good evening, Chairman and Supervisors. Follow up on Rob's report, we are looking at another good year in Vernon Township. We currently have committed approximately $5 million worth of construction that we'll see this year, and working on several $1 million more in potential construction and development. So happy to see that, and you'll see activity throughout the township through the most of the construction season. I also wanted to remind the businesses in the area that as the snow is melting and stormwater, the rainy season comes up, to make sure their stormwater management facilities are clear of debris so that they're functioning properly and don't cause any issues, which has always been paid attention to by our businesses here. So it's a nice friendly reminder before we go out and do inspections. And that's all I have to report.
All right. Any questions for Ashley? This last rain and melt we had put a lot of water out.
It did. Pennsylvania Avenue had a couple areas, and it was a unique rainfall just in the last week where we saw some pretty heavy runoff off of Pennsylvania Avenue where other areas were dry. So I'd like to see everything cleared out and cleaned up so that we don't have those problems.
Right. Okay, well, thank you. Solicitor report, Jeff Millen, solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. I don't have anything to report tonight, except that because Rob works so well, it makes my job easy, and I very rarely have reports. So,
That's what we like to hear. Great. Okay, thank you. Any new business? No. Old business, we have a motion to approve the John Locks for the bid of $5,250 for the 2010 Ford Explorer. It was a police car.
So move.
The motion,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? And motion to approve Lindy Paving for $110,642 for the 2020 CDBG resurfacing contract.
I'll make that motion.
The motion,
Second.
the motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? We opened these bids last night at the work session. So it brings us to the upcoming meetings. Will be April 1st will be our work session on April Fool's Day. Great. And April 2nd will be our regular meeting. Both of those are at 7:30. This time, we'll move on to Supervisors Comment. We'll start with Greg tonight.
Nothing much really. I'd like to thank Nancy for coming and giving us a little bit of an update on the census. That's kind of nice. I learned a few things about it. We'll try and make sure to spread the word as best we can. Other than that, I'm happy with the way the winter turned out, so that's forecast so far, I guess you could say, and happy to see things are running fairly decently at the roundabout, and that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Greg. Fritz?
Also to thank Nancy, that was a great presentation. And like
Thank you.
Greg said, I learned different things that I wasn't aware of on it. And the importance of the census, we did know about that the dates and such. And then also to thank Greg and Bev Latta for doing the audit. They did a nice job on that, and as you mentioned, saved us money since we've gone to the private auditors, elected auditors versus commercial. That's all.
Okay. Then, welcome back, Fritz. Joe?
I think I'm just going to remind everybody about all the people that work behind the scenes that you don't see. You get to see the five of us on television, and we are only as successful as we are because of all the people that help us behind the scenes. So I guess I just want to say thank you to them.
And there's a lot of them, for sure. All of our boards and authorities and everything, and our department heads here. So, Gary?
I'd just like to jump on with the rest of the guys. Thank you very much, Nancy. A lot of information. Some things I was not aware of, but a lot of information well presented. Thank you. And keep an eye on the kids now. The kids are going to be out playing now. They're closer to the road because of the snow's going. And I'm so glad we're getting that school bus thing handled. Because boy, it's not a problem here. It's a problem all across the country.
It is.
But that's critical. That's all I have.
I'd like to also thank Nancy for all of that good information and the great presentation. And you didn't have any notes, so I'm impressed. Really impressed.
I could do this in my sleep, and I think my husband tells me that I do.
Okay. So let's thank Armstrong Utilities for being here to video the meeting, and the Tribune for their coverage. And with that, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? Meeting is adjourned.